Alright, so I chose to remake this short film, To Claire from Sonny, for a lot of different reasons. For one, it was the first short film that I had seen that really got me into filmmaking and shorts in general. And then another is that it had minimal characters, the setting wasn't extravagant, there wasn't too much acting, and there was just one single voiceover to be done. So it was fairly simple and a solid storyline, so I figured if we could remake it and have it close to the original quality, that we would do pretty well on projects on our own. To give a short summary of the story, it's about a boy writing a letter to his old girlfriend and kind of the journey he takes to deliver this message to her. There's this big build-up and a reveal at the end. There's a lot of good things to be said about relationships. It took a lot of color adjustments and cinematography tricks to really get the feeling that the original had and kind of put our own twist on it as well. I started off going through the original and really piecing it out and taking snapshots and creating a storyboard, kind of like this right here, just so every time that I went out and filmed, I knew what I needed to do and I could adjust the angles how I needed to. To get started, this first shot is just a standard left to right slide. The pictures are helping set the mood with like the relationship and the memories that are still at this house. Next, we have the first shot of Claire, and we added the sun in the background to kind of make it glow a little bit. So she's laughing, she's happy. This represents a fond memory, and the field will come back into play later. The titles here are kind of like an old filmic look. Just a little bit of lighting in the middle of it that fades out, and then some camera shake along with some flickering as well. And then the book opens, and with it begins the story. We decided here that writing was a little more intimate than the typewriter was. I think the typewriter looked really good, but we kind of wanted to put our own twist on it as well, and that's why we chose to go with writing instead. The colors here are a little darker, and the background's blurred a little on the edges, and there's some black on the edges as well. So the first car shot was shot to the side, and it was kind of a mid-range shot, and then I'll have to show you guys how I had to film this. Alright, so as you guys can see, this is what I had to film in the car scenes, and I had to do it by myself, so I would just hold this steady while I was driving, and it was probably super dangerous and stupid, but it was the best way that I could get a really stable shot was this. And this is also what I used to prop up my camera for the graveyard scenes, and it's a Steadicam as well. In place of waiting for a train, we used a stoplight instead, because we don't really live in that big of a city, so it was hard for us to find some means of public transportation similar to that. We also chose to use a car instead of walking because I felt like it gave the characters a little bit more maturity than just kind of walking and taking a bus. Then we used a shot of traffic here, kind of following the path, and I used snow to kind of set the mood a little bit. It's kind of a darker, gloomy, cold, sad, just, not happy time. And this was kind of flip-flopped from what they originally had. It was a lot more sunny out when they originally filmed it. And then we have this super awkward scene with the new girl. I kind of darkened the image a little bit, even though we had to use a lot of lights to kind of make it seem like they were actually watching a movie. And then the girl I have playing Jess, Cassidy, is already super awkward as it is. And so it was really weird to shoot this, and I think that came across perfectly because of how awkward and uncomfortable it was. For the memory of the couple, I added a lot of blending and blurs to this and kind of colors that really glowed instead. I tried to have really smooth, soothing shots that were just kind of felt really nice. So what we did here for the awkward scene again was we did a right to left slide instead of left to right, which is more standard, because we kind of wanted to make it feel kind of out of place and uncomfortable, and then you can also see her fingernails clicking a lot to kind of show how she is uncomfortable. Kind of funny that the girl there that's clicking the nails is actually the one who plays Claire. We couldn't get Cassidy, who played Jess, to click her nails fast enough, and we were originally going to place the nail clicking with the celery of the original, but it just kind of felt really awkward and weird overall, so I just decided to take it out. Alright, we've got another car scene here, and I used the same colors kind of as the original, with a green, kind of a dark or black on the edges and the corners. And then you should notice that as the story progresses, the camera angles get closer and closer into the face, and what this should do is this should help you kind of get closer to the character as the story progresses and moves along. So for the fight scene, we colored it heavy with a blue and green, and then I brought out kind of the bright colors and then made them horizontal to kind of give it an old memory look. And I know the acting's awful on it. It's like one of the first times that I've really been on camera, so it's super bad. I know, give me a break. So this first time we kind of have a farther off shot showing this car in the background, kind of giving a little foreshadowing. Back to writing, so now we have this kind of, it's getting more serious. He really just wants to talk with her and, have her say something back to him. So we kind of have this angle that's downward looking on him, making him seem a little bit smaller. It switches to the opposite looking up, but this is really meant more to kind of focus on the letter. And then on the background as well, we did a sky replacement, which really added a lot to that effect. And it's supposed to be kind of looking up from the grave almost. Now this is a mid-angle shot, and it's supposed to still be focused a little bit on the face. And this was probably my best acting job, just because it was like 20 degrees outside, freezing, and I could not feel my hands or anything. Then finally the big reveal showing the grave, revealing that his old girlfriend is in fact dead. The scene was such a pain to shoot and so impractical because we live in Kansas and it's windy all the time. So we had to redo it, I don't know how many times, and I think I was actually filming this one by myself, so I just had to prop up the camera, and then all the letters kept blowing away, and it was just awful. The setting shot for the grave here was originally just a test, but I kind of liked the way that the wind made the trees move. And then, again, we were able to do sky replacement and a lot of other color adjustments, which made the shot a lot better. This is just kind of showing how much time he's spending at the graveyard. Then we have the longer fight. Finally, it's a little bit more uncut. And then the car comes in, closing in. There's a little bit of camera shake and a light burst right when the car is supposed to hit her. Another high-angle shot looking down on the character. It kind of shows a messy room in the background to show his state of mind. And then once again, audience looking down on the character kind of helps put the mood in perspective. Now his memory goes back to kind of the field again, a better time, where they're both happy now because he comes into the picture. The color adjustment on this shot really did a lot. I added a lot of kind of brighter yellows again. And now his path to the grave starts. And as you can see, there's a lot of hyperlapses in between these shots, just kind of showing like his path and him going here so often that all of this time around him is still passing by, but yet he's still mourning the loss of his old girlfriend. Another kind of diagonal shot, which is generally in cinematography used to create an uneasy feel. He comes up on the grave. Now you can see him approaching it with the focus really on the grave and a blurred background. It comes to a really nice ending with the sun setting behind all of the buildings. This was done with about 4 people in total. I think we went out for 7 days, spread out to actually shoot, and that ranged from anywhere a 40-minute shoot time to maybe up to 2 hours at most. It took a couple weeks of editing just because, all the shooting time was so spread out, and I added a lot on the colors, but it was mainly just waiting on the next shoot. I used the Canon T3i. I used After Effects for the color correction, and then I used Premiere for the editing, and then Adobe Audition for the audio. So this was the studio that I used for the voiceover. I really wanted to have a nice sound since it was a voiceover, make it sound kind of muffled like the original was, and then not have a lot of noise in the background. So as you can see, what I had was a closet that just had a lot of clothes to kind of muffle the sound, and then the small space, which really helped. Kind of because of all of the time constraints and the weather that we were having, I went ahead and decided just to use a lot of the stock footage for the scenes of the city, which I really didn't want to do, but I think a lot of the shots were really good, and it was kind of a weird feel because we don't live in a big city. I don't know if it really matched up as well. Overall, it was a really great experience. I think we learned a lot from it, just like I was wanting to. And the result wasn't exactly what I wanted, but it was pretty decent, so I'm definitely going to continue on and keep doing these, and hopefully as my skill set increases, I'll be able to share it with you guys. As always, please go to my Twitter page for articles, films, and a lot of other, and be on the lookout for the next short that we film. Thanks.